The U.S. has started rolling out a massive tariff refund process after courts struck down billions in import taxes.
Businesses are now filing claims, but many experts say consumers are not likely to see much of that money back. We're joined live by Durante, senior economist at Tax Foundation. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
So could you just explain, how does the current tariff refund process actually work? Because I'm hearing various examples of how this is playing out.
Right. Well, I mean, Customs and Border Protection, they went live earlier this week with a portal that will help businesses process their refunds. So they have to submit their receipts to the portal. And then the CBP estimates that it should take somewhere between 60 to 90 days to process those refunds. So it should hopefully be a fairly straightforward process, but there could be some other legal challenges afoot. For instance, it's not always the case that the importer of record is necessarily the importing business. It could be an intermediary. I mean, it depends on what was negotiated in those contracts in terms of how much gets returned to the business. So there could be an additional set of legal challenges there, but hopefully the process from this point on is fairly straightforward.
Well, Alex, I think, of course, a lot of people, when you hear refunds, everybody wants a refund, right? So who exactly is eligible for these refunds and who isn't?
Right. So this is where the story gets a little bit more complicated. So as I said, the importer of record, which in many cases is going to be the importing business, they get the refund first. Now, we have pretty good evidence that about 25% of the tariffs were passed on to the final retail price that consumers pay. But of course, it's up to the businesses to decide how much of that refund they are ultimately going to pass back to consumers. And kind of my reading of the situation is that we have this this Section 122 tariff in place that expires later this summer, and the president has proposed new tariffs under other authorities that he will be pursuing once that expires. So I think, kind of given the overall tariff regime right now and a lot of this uncertainty, I get the sense that businesses are kind of adopting more of a wait and see approach. So I think it will be some time before consumers see any kind of refund or any kind of lower prices for the products they pay, as long as the tariffs remain in place.
Well, that's what a lot of people are asking, because the price hike has gotten passed in many cases to the consumer. So why are the refunds going primarily to the businesses and not the consumer?
Well, that's just the way the law works. So I mean, the importing business, I mean, they're the ones that pay the tariffs initially, and then they have some latitude for how much they pass on to the consumer. And as I said, we know that from a lot of the business surveys from last year that were conducted by several Federal Reserve banks, what they were saying was that businesses, they were passing along some of those costs to the consumers, but in the short run, they were also absorbing some of those costs, either in the forms of lower investment or lower hiring. So I think, as I said, I think as long as the president continues to pursue these tariff policies, and there's a lot of this ongoing uncertainty, I think if anything, consumers should probably be bracing for more price increases going forward rather than perhaps less.
Oh, well, so in the end, Alex, should the average consumer expect any financial benefit from all this? The businesses are getting theirs, so are we kind of left out in the cold?
Yeah, I mean, it is certainly possible that if the president were to pursue tariff policies later this summer that were more narrow in scope, and businesses were assured that the president would not impose any more tariffs in the future, perhaps in that world they would be okay to pass along some of those savings to consumers. But I think as long as businesses expect there to be tariffs over the next few years, I don't think there's going to quite be that appetite and that rush to lower prices, just because we're still operating in this world of uncertainty, unfortunately. And again, we saw last month that the president, he imposed new tariffs on pharmaceuticals. He revised some of the steel and aluminum tariffs. So unfortunately, despite the Supreme Court ruling, it does not appear tariffs are going to be going away anytime soon.
Well, and then my question is, I had someone tell me that, if you look at like a coffee shop, the people, at the coffee shop may not be able to recoup the tariffs that they paid from the bean supplier, but the bean supplier can recoup their tariffs that they had to pay. So there's some businesses not getting what they need.
No, that's right. And coffee itself is a really interesting industry because we have some pretty, I think, compelling evidence that tariffs really did have significant impacts on the price of coffee there. And of course, coffee plants take a while to mature, right? I mean, it's not really so much the case that once the tariffs go away that you can just increase production significantly in response to that. So I think depending on the industry that you're operating in, I mean there could be considerable lags in terms of how much of those tariff refunds or the tariffs themselves do get passed along to the consumer. But again, it really just depends on the industry.
Well, we here at the Morning Show are very concerned about coffee, so thank you for diving into that one for us.
As am
Alex,
I.
thank you so much. Appreciate it.